So what you're about to see is a very different podcast. In fact, this is an intro to the intro because the other intro was done in Chehalis, Washington with Brother Gabe Baker. We recorded most of it up in Chehalis, Washington. And the in-between stuff, the stuff that's pertinent to last Sunday is being recorded today, and then we're combining the two into a single podcast. So you're getting the best of both worlds, I hope. And with that said, let's get into the real intro.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to Apostolic Children's Ministry Podcast. And we're in a very different setting, which is exciting because I am in your studio, Brother Baker.
Yes.
And welcome to the podcast. This is episode 120, I think. Nice. And we're in Chehalis, Washington for your conference.
Yep, right here on the bridge.
Yeah, we are in the Coliseum itself. And I will try to remember to insert here some of the pictures of the incredible props that you guys have. And maybe a video of me walking around your set. We'll put it in here. But what an incredible conference. You guys do such a good job.
Thank you.
And can you tell us just a little bit about it and how it came to be and how long you've been doing it?
Yeah, so it's a youth conference. And, man, as far as how long, I think there's always debate because, we can never remember. But I think almost 20 years. I want to say it was 2010, but it might have.
Okay,
I don't know if that's accurate.
When I started this, I was thinking in the last 8 to 10 at most. You're saying 20 years you've been doing this?
I think so, almost.
My word.
I think it's 2010. I think is when we started doing the conference. Now we didn't start Children's Church right away, but it must have been about 2010 because I think our first Children's Church was for the conference was 2012. And it was in this building, but it was unfinished building, and so it was all wood, like the floor decking, open walls, everything. No AC. And this is Washington, so it's not super hot, but it gets warm.
I don't care what the weather is outside. If you don't have AC and you're in a confined space with a bunch of kids and bodies and sweat for a couple hours. Woo, you begin to cook. I remember being absolutely dripping sweat the first year. I thought, man, this is some brutal working conditions.
Yeah. So anyway, that's when it started. So we do basically it's the conference is a Thursday, Friday, Saturday conference, and so we do Children's Church on Thursday night and Friday night.
What's the actual name of the youth conference?
So it used to be called Youth Quest, and it's NAC. We have a group here called Northwest Apostolic Churches, so it's NAC Youth Conference.
That's cool.
And so there's like five sponsor churches, kind of
similar to like our SCC, Southern California.
Yeah, same idea. I think a little smaller, same idea. And then there's churches that come from all out of state. They come from
like
all
from
over.
Rialto.
Yeah, from Rialto. Yes. And so this year we have Brother Ben Weeks and Brother Nathan Cox.
Woo, that is a lineup.
So,
that is a lineup.
So it'll be good.
They are two of my favorite
preachers. Of course,
preachers.
we're going to miss out on Brother Cox because he's doing the night services. So we won't get to experience that. But anyway, so we have Children's Church during the services, and it's, I don't know, probably around 100-ish kids on average. And we do kind of like on steroids, but we kind of do what we do on Sunday. And it's a full, I guess you could say, quote unquote, theater experience. We have acting and
again, refer to the pictures. The Coliseum that they have built is pretty gnarly.
It's a little over 15 feet tall.
It's amazing.
It'll seat about 100. Probably is about the max we're going to be able to seat. And then it's interactive, as you've seen. But we have the kids get up and do stuff, go.
Yeah. So it's very similar to what happened at Summit Conference when we started the Kingdom Kids. It started as something for the kids to do at the conference.
Yeah.
But since you're doing it, let's make it really good.
Right.
But it has turned from something for the kids to do into a reason for families to attend Summit Conference.
Yes.
And I think that's what's happening here too, because the kids like it so much that the thought of missing it is just heartbreaking to them. They think about it all year. We have parents that tell us at Summit, when is it coming? When is Kingdom Kids?
Yeah.
When's it? Now it's Country Kids, but when's it happening? Because that's the last thing they're going to miss. I mean, that's their vacation.
There's a brother that's helping this year. He hasn't helped before, but he's helping this year. And he told me a couple years ago, he's like, brother, my boys, they wait all year long for this conference. So that's really cool.
That is such a compliment to how good of a job that you're doing. That kids don't even realize that this children's piece of it is a subset of what's happening over there.
Yeah, they're like, what's that?
To the kids, that is the side quest.
Exactly.
They come for this, and I think that's a great compliment to what the good work you guys are doing. So it's exciting.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, we tell children's ministers everywhere that to not make your reason for having Sunday school or children's ministry just to free up seats. And I know that's a piece of it. I get it. I know the church is full, but it should be so much more than that. While they're here, make that the main thing.
Awesome. Yeah.
Have kids get the Holy Ghost, have parents come up like they do here all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Because they hear how amazing it is and they just want to see it.
Well, and I love it. Like parents come up quite often. They come up and we're right in the middle of altar service.
I love it.
Because our altar service is kind of late in the children's church service. And so, they come up and it's all. Oh, and last year we had brother and sister Ladd, Joseph Ladd, Angel Ladd were here from Sacramento, and
great people.
It was awesome. I'm always scrambling, last minute, and I took a picture of them, sent it in a group chat, because they jumped right in. I mean, they got here, they were here for 5 minutes, and they were already taping scene setters, and just
I gotta say, brother Baker, I'm a little disappointed this year. I came ready to work. Man. I was ready to dive in, climb ladders, hang stuff. And you guys were ahead of the game this time. You guys had everything pretty much done.
We don't have a slide though this year, so
that's true. The playground is missing.
Yeah, the playground part is missing. But
if you think they skimped on decor because they didn't have a playground, you need to walk around. You have every wall covered in either a forest or a coliseum or a catacombs. And in fact, can you tell us about the giant stickers on the wall? I don't know how much you can say.
Yes. So there's a guy in our church that he has worked in and still does, but worked in like auto body stuff forever. And he's done vehicle wraps, and things like that. Well, he's a teacher now. And so in his class, he was able to get a machine that prints these wrap stickers. In fact, this table, which is my Kidman Backstage podcast table, this is a wrap from him. So they're basically giant stickers. You can print like up to 52 inches wide by however long. I mean, the roll is like 200 feet long. So, so we took over on the far wall, we took images, I put them in Photoshop, and then his machine will figure out the overlap and everything. And then it spits out these strips, roughly 52 inches wide.
That's amazing.
And you hang them up.
So again, I'll try to put pictures of that up at this time. But you can't see the splits, the seams, unless you're looking for them.
Right.
You can't
see
them.
You know they're there. Yeah.
So it just looks like a giant, I don't know how wide is that?
Yeah, I think we got 17 feet, and then the front of that is like 12 feet. And then the back, we got these mutated tiger and lion because they're gigantic. They're bigger than life. And so that's 18 feet back there.
And that's all these giant wraps, so it's just first class.
Yeah.
Really
you have to put it on and squeegee it and all that. It's kind of an interesting.
And the Coliseum wall itself, last night, they were Brother Brendan was putting in all of the LED lights to highlight the arches, and I'm looking at it right now. It is really slick.
Turned out really nice.
Yeah, they did just a great job.
Don't rub against the walls. It's real dirt and sand on there.
So it looks like to make the bricks, looks like you taped it and then put like spray adhesive and dust. And
so what I did is I used it's like a RAM board. It's a roll of cardboard at Home Depot or wherever. Yep. And I cut out a brick pattern. And so I cut the brick pattern out, and then I lay that brick pattern down on the pieces before I install them, and then spray them or I spray it with spray glue, sprinkle sand, sprinkle dirt, and then I actually have some concrete. Sprinkle it all on there, shake it off, lay it down again, and then I do texture paint and sheetrock texture. That's the white, and so it gives you a subtle brick pattern, and then it has forced perspective, so it's already pretty tall. It's 15 feet tall, but the arches, there's the regular door arches, which are about 6'6" tall. And then it goes up, and there's like a 3 foot, and then a 2 foot, and then a little square window. And then the brick patterns are forced perspective as well. They go smaller as they go up. So I had to cut. Cool. I think I cut 3 patterns.
So how long did just the Coliseum part take?
The Coliseum, it took several weeks of only working on Saturdays and only me. And so I had a little tiny bit of help, but so it took a long time. But as far as hours, if I would have had, if I would have made some people help me or asked some people to help me, probably wouldn't have taken real long. But I worked on it on Saturdays for a few weeks.
And how long do you leave that up?
This will stay up. We usually do 16-week themes. I think this one might be 14 just because of how the calendar falls.
That's awesome. Well, you guys owe it to yourself to come experience it at least once. I don't know if that's a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if people actually can, but I know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I know there's some people that are planning to come soon. I know the lads want to come back. And,
it's a great event. So come out and spend some time with some great people in children's ministry.
Yeah.
And you have a great team too. There was a mess of people here last night. What, 30 people maybe?
Yeah, I think it was 30. So we have a roster that we kind of rotate through on Sundays, and so
that's awesome. So getting here was quite the experience.
Oh yes, let's talk about that. That was cool.
It wasn't cool. So last
cool
time
to hear about.
Last time I came, I don't even remember the details, but I remember having trouble with my flights and stuff. I can't even remember what all happened, but it wasn't smooth.
It got delayed. Yeah,
it was just annoying. And so I'm thinking, not this time. This time it has to be smooth. And in fact, last week I told you briefly, but I flew Frontier. I actually put that on the last podcast. Bad move. So I'm like, okay, I'm going back to my roots. I'm taking Southwest. I know it's smooth. Everything's going to be fine. If there's a problem, they can get me on the next plane. I'm okay. So I flew Southwest. I got there plenty of time. I mean, normally I don't cut it close, but I gave myself probably another 30 minutes more than I normally would. I was there, 2 hours ahead of time.
Yeah.
Everything went smooth. Checked bags in. I'm at the gate. I'm literally typing up stuff for the deal I was going to be speaking at last night. And I hear my name called, broadcast over the airport speakers.
That's never a good sign.
No, but I've heard other people page, and I've always wondered, what do they want them for? They call their name.
Like, this is
now I get to find out. I won the whatever prize they're giving today. Well, the prize I won was to go downstairs, and I figured maybe it's something that the gate agent can help me clarify.
Yeah.
So I went to the gate agent instead of all the way back through TSA. I figured I'm not going to fight that battle if I don't have to.
Right. Yeah.
And he's on the phone, the gate agent, and by his conversation, I know he's talking about me.
Oh.
And I don't know what he's saying, but they're like, oh, yeah, we'll see if we can find him. And I'm like, oh no.
Having second thoughts about
this has to be coincidental. Well, he literally, he looks up while he's on the phone and he stops and he goes, are you Phillip? I'm like,
no.
This is not the guy that did the announcement. I don't know who that was.
Right.
It was a lady that announced it. I'm thinking, this is not good. And I said, yeah, I'm him. He goes, okay, we just found him.
Oh,
Hangs
boy.
up the phone and he goes, come with me. I was like, oh no. He goes, I'll walk you down there. He said, we have found objects of serious concern in your suitcase.
Oh my goodness.
And so instantly I start thinking about, what did I pack? And I got to be honest, I packed light for this one. I didn't pack the heavy stuff, like the stuff that you potentially could get in trouble. And I'm literally thinking back through, no, there's nothing I can get in trouble for.
So insert, like the first time you came, you had left and you left some stuff in your locker in the backstage when you were done Saturday.
I forgot about
and
that.
I was like, oh man, he left his stuff. Well, one of them was a can of lighter fluid. I was like, did you need this? You're like, no.
Can't fly back with it. Yeah, that's right. Well, I had never packed that stuff. And so I'm thinking, oh, I did put like a stick barbecue lighter in there. That's probably pretty stupid.
Okay.
But normally, and I've done it before.
Like a little flicker thing. Yeah.
If they find a problem with it, they take it out and they put a note in there. We've removed an item. I don't care. It's cost me $3. I just didn't want to go through the process of having to buy it again. So I think that's what it is. I don't know. So I go downstairs. Well, a lady comes out and she's wearing her official garb. She had some sort of badge. I couldn't tell if it was TSA or what it was. Well, she starts lighting into me about,
oh boy,
you have stuff, a very serious concern. And I said, well, can you tell me what it is? She goes, we don't know what it is.
Oh, no.
I said, well, can you describe it? And she goes, well, one of them is a Bible that looks like a bomb. And instantly I'm
man.
Oh, great. The fire Bible got me in trouble again because I have a magic trick that you fold open the cover and you hit a little button on the bottom and it lights a glow plug and it lights the fluid. Well, without the fluid and without the batteries, this thing is completely inert. I mean, it's as simple as it can get. I'm frustrated. I'm like, yeah, it's a magic trick. And I've gone through this before where they literally shut down the Springfield airport because of that Bible.
Really?
And so I asked them, how do I make sure this never happens again? And they said, well, declare it to the people at the ticket counter. Tell them you have it, and they'll do whatever magic they have to do on their keyboard that says this is legal. I said, okay. So the next time I went in, I told them that, and they said, why are you telling us this? I said, well, because they told me to. She said, that does no good. What are we supposed to say? There's a magic Bible in here? They said, just pack it, and if there's a problem, they'll tell you. I've done that 100 times since then and never had an issue until yesterday morning. Well, they were very unhappy. And so I tried to explain what it was, and she said, well, it looks like a bomb, and it's very concerning. And I said, well, if there's no batteries in the nose fluid, she goes, there are batteries in it. And that's when I was like, I forgot to take the batteries out.
Oh, no.
So that's on me. Oops. I said, you're right. I must have forgot to take the batteries out. I apologize. Normally I store them separate, so there's no concern. Well, she was not letting me off. She goes, and that's not the only thing. There's more. And so here it comes. Now there's like 5 or 6 people around me there, and I'm looking, there's Homeland Security badges, airport security.
They're dangling the handcuffs.
It never got like where I legitimately felt like I was going to be detained or anything, but they were not
But
happy.
You were in trouble, for sure.
I was in trouble. Well, and then they started pulling out stuff I never dreamed would be a problem. They have like this super absorbent polymer. It's a stuff in diaper polymer where you can put it in and it absorbs water. And they bring that out. They said, this is hazmat. Hazmat? I said, I bought it on Amazon. She goes, you can buy all kinds of dangerous things on Amazon. I guess it's fair, but I'm like, well, okay. What else? And so then they bring out this sodium sulfite, which is where you can make the iodine disappear. But that's just for like photography. She goes, it's hazmat. You cannot have that. Okay.
They're like looking at with a microscope now after your bomb Bible.
Yeah, exactly. So now they're going through my bag. They pull out 6 different things that are illegal to carry. Stuff I have traveled with for the last 10 years. No one has ever said anything. And some of them, they have opened the case and they put in a ticket that says inspected by TSA, and they set it on top of those very items. They don't care. But this time, and so I said something like that, bad move, never question them. Just so I said, well, I've traveled with these for quite a bit. No one's ever said anything. And of course, that's her opportunity to say, well, we're better than everybody else. So she's like, well, we take our job seriously, basically saying everybody else didn't. Anyway, it did not go good. And so I'm looking at my watch, it's getting closer and closer to my flight. I'm like, listen, I'm willing to do whatever. We can toss this stuff. We can throw it away. But I really don't want to miss my flight because I knew I was already cutting it fairly close to be here last night. And she said, well, we have one more item we're inspecting, and then you can dispose of it. She told me I could throw it away initially. So I said, okay, cool. Homeland Security guy walks out. And now he's the official guy. I mean, he's the guy that like his say goes.
He's the big dog.
And he comes and he's real nice, but he's kind of like looking me in the eye, talking to me for a while. And finally he's like, this last powder we can't figure out. And why is it in a chili bottle? I'm like, chili? Right. So I said, that's called a lycopodium powder. It's dragon's breath. You use it for stage magic. You pour it in, you blow it, and it atomizes, and you can light it, and it does a really cool flame. I said, but if you lay it on a table, you can't light it. It's completely, you cannot light it with a lighter unless it's atomized, unless it's in a vapor, in a mist.
Oh, okay.
He's like, okay, can you spell that for me? I'm like, nope. So I pull up my phone and, figure it out. I show it to him. So he pulls up their Homeland Security sheet on lycopodium powder. Apparently there's a sheet on every substance.
Oh, wow.
And he pulls it out. He goes, nope, not allowed. I was like, okay, so what does this mean? They have a whole stash in front of me now.
Yeah.
He said, well, you're not flying with it. I said, I get it. Can I throw it away? Nope. I said, what do you mean I can't? He goes, you're not throwing that away on airport property. What if someone else finds it?
Man.
So what do I do? I can't fly with it. I can't throw it away. He said, you better have somebody come here and pick it up because you're not leaving without it, or you're not leaving with this on the property. So I call my son and wake him up out of a dead sleep.
Oh, man.
I said, how quick can you get to Ontario Airport? I'll explain later. So he jumps in his car, flies over there. I'm watching my clock. I mean, it's literally a minute before my plane is boarding.
Oh, man.
He comes out. I scoop up all this stuff, dump it on his front seat. I'm like, am I good? Am I good? They're like, yeah, you're fine. Am my bag going to make it on the plane? We're going to rush it straight to your gate. Long story short, everything was fine.
I saw the picture on Logan's seat.
Yeah. So I came with much less than I thought when I showed up. I had all these object lessons planned, and well, the bulk of them didn't end up making it. So,
Well, and in the group chat, you put it in there, and that's why I said it was cool, because it was hilarious, absolutely hilarious. And of course, everybody had all kinds of ideas and suggestions.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I love
people are so helpful, aren't they?
The prison ministry object lessons.
Like, surely that was a perfect opportunity to teach a Bible study to TSA. They were in no mood to listen to me about anything. At that point, they just wanted me to stop being a monkey and get out of the way. So, yeah, that's how that went. Oh, they even told me the one statement I thought was a bit over the top was the Homeland Security guy says, sometimes with a suitcase this concerning, we'll actually put it in our explosion chamber and destroy it.
Oh,
just so it doesn't, because we can't take chances.
Oh my.
I was like, whoa, dude, can we turn this down a little bit? This is a science demonstration. Anyway, he finally did tell me at the end. He said, meeting people helps me a lot with figuring out what to do. He said, until I met you, I didn't know, because looking at your suitcase, it's concerning. He said, now I've talked to you, I know you're fine. He said, but we have to go through all the steps. So anyway, that was our trip coming up here. So that means we're going to have an awesome conference.
That must be, man. Wow. That's hilarious.
Yeah. And so we've already gone long on this intro, but I'm going to keep all of it in there. But I want to mention that we were part of the Apostolic Podcast Network, and I want to mention this. Kidman backstage once again. Brother Baker's podcast is awesome. He has a variety of people from his team that join him every week, and they talk about everything Kidman. What is it? The magic and disaster?
Yep, the magic or the disaster happens behind the scenes.
And so it's such a good listen. So you can listen to that pretty much on any podcast platform. Check them out.
Yeah.
And as we said before, we're not experts on children's ministry, but we love it. We're passionate about it. We want to get better at it every single week. And with that, let's get on with the rest of the podcast.
Well, boy, I think it's time for a dad joke.
So as you can see, his studio setup is pretty cool. And ours is limited, let's put it that way. But I do have grand ambitions of one day having a really cool studio. And I'd like to do video recording on a regular basis, but I'm not about to go through the whole process of setting up and tearing down over and over again, especially given just all the many people and departments that use all of our facilities. So it seems like if I set up something one day, the next day I got to get rid of it.
Yeah.
So we may have an option. There's a tiny little room, but I don't know. We still got to try it and just see if it fits. But until then, I have a really good joke for you this time.
Oh, no.
Yep, I have searched high and low, and I have found what I think is the very best dad joke on the planet, because it is my grand ambition to one day show that you actually have a soul.
I do have a soul.
Well, we're about to find out, because I'm going to read you a dad joke, and if you don't laugh, you are soulless. Here we go.
Okay.
So I was at a men's department store, and I was shopping, and this guy just kept annoying me. You know the salesmen that kind of hang over you, they just kind of hover over you the whole time? And so finally I said, dude, leave me alone. He said, fine, suit yourself. This is the problem with youth these days. They have no soul.
No.
Next part. And now it's time for our blooper segment. This is the part of the podcast where we talk about the things that went wrong, followed by the things that went right, thankfully. And hopefully there's more of the latter than the former. But let's talk about the things that went wrong, both in Chehalis and here, because I have been traveling a little bit again. But I was here this Sunday. I was there during the week from Wednesday till Friday, came back on Saturday. And so on Saturday rather, I prepared for our boys class, and they had been complaining that they didn't get enough explosions last week. And so I had made up my mind that this week we are going to have plenty of explosions.
Okay.
As it's Faith Lab, you're mad scientists. And so I prepared some pretty big booms. And that was the hydrogen gas. If you want to know how that's done, just send us an email, info@apostolicsundayschool.com, and we will get that sent over. But it's a really cool lesson where you have ordinary balloons, ordinary bubbles that become extraordinary when something cool is put inside of them. Likens to the Holy Ghost, we are ordinary until God makes us anything but. He puts His Spirit inside of us, and we have power. Okay. It's a good lesson. But we're talking about creation, and I talked about that the creative process isn't really finished. I mean, God created us, but it's not really finished until He fills us. That's when we're truly finally created.
Okay.
So we had the power inside of us. So then we set off the bubbles, and those aren't too loud, but the balloons, oh my goodness, they were extraordinarily loud.
Really?
I don't know if it was just the closed confines of the smaller boys class compared to where I normally would do something like this, but I'm telling you, the boom, like you could feel it in your chest. It was a boom.
Oh,
and there was many of them. I had 8 of them or whatever. And so after I did the first one, the boys were kind of flipping out. So I did a second one, and a third one, and a fourth one, and a fifth one. I think I was on my 6th one when the door opened between our class and the girls' class, and I see Sister Leia stick her head in, and I said, "Hey, Sister Leia, how you doing?" And she kind of had this look of annoyed concern.
Okay.
And I just figured it was just a matter of big booms next to you. That probably caused some concern. But I found out after that there was more to it than that. They were in the middle of a really good altar call when I set off the booms.
No.
And my timing could not have been any worse. And so they had a very good altar call. And sometimes it's a struggle for that age, that class. But they finally had it. The atmosphere were there. The kids were praying. They were really locked in. And then boom! And the girls were praying. And she said, one eye would come open. They'd look over to where they heard the boom. And then they'd close their eye and go back to praying. And then the next boom, boom! And then they'd stop. And then the third boom. By the fourth boom, altar call was over. And that's when Sister Leia came and hustled over to the door. And she wasn't asking us to stop. She was just so disbelieving on the timing. I mean, it could not have been any worse. And I felt like a heel. But I didn't know. I mean, we didn't do it intentionally by any means.
It's very true with that class. Whenever whenever we're trying to get an altar call, it is harder to get them to come up and pray than it is with the younger kids. That's crazy timing.
But it didn't stop there.
Oh no.
The 10 to 11 boys class is rife with bloopers. And it's not, I think you can pin it on the age of those boys. Mm-hmm. And they just say whatever pops into their little, still immature heads, but yet they think they're mature. Uh-huh. Well, Logan was doing an object lesson on creation and how we're the image of God. Well, he showed a picture of, who did he show a picture of first? Can't remember. Anyway, some president, and he showed a picture of another president. Then he showed a picture of Donald Trump. Okay. Well, let's just say our bus riders are not fond of Brother Donald. Okay. And when they saw him, all I heard was a kid scream out, because he said, "Who is this?" And one of them screamed out, "Annoying orange." Oh, no. And the other one screamed out, "Racist." Oh. And what are you supposed to do? Open a debate? In the middle of your class? And so we just moved right along to the next part. I don't know what else to do. So that was awkward. Now, you were in super class, and Natalia gave a decent blooper. So tell us about that one.
So basically, she was doing this really cool. It was like a shadow puppet, and it was like puppet show, but it was like using shadows and like backlight. And
I would have really wondered on the effectiveness of something like this, because it's like a cheesecloth and you put up shadows behind it. Not critically, but wow, that's an interesting way to do it. Except I saw a sneak preview before class. It is first class. Mm-hmm. They cut out these little cardboard cutouts and stuff on like a cricket or like a wannabe cricket. And they are crispy looking. Like, they are so cool. It's like a whole tree with a snake wrapped around it and the fruit hanging. And you can make out every little detail. Yeah, and she had like a whole bench back there covered. And I'm like, she had a lot of details back there. But then she got to what was created on each day. And she said that God made the birds to live in the sea. Which is hard to fix. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so that was... The birds in the sea and the fish in the air. Yeah. Yeah. So that was one of them. And then the next one was part of mine and Bree's intro. Well, you know what? To be fair, this is not a blooper on your end as much as it is on the curriculum writer's end. Mm-hmm. So this is on the Days of Creation, and the dynamic opening is also part of the theme skit. And it just does too much. So the idea of a dynamic opening is that it introduces the topic and then doesn't really teach anything. All it does is draw interest. Hey, this is what we're talking about. Sometimes funny, however they do it. But then they pass it off to the next segment.
Yeah, and
instead,
this one was very different, where it introduced it, and technically it could, if we had ended it like halfway through, it would have been a great dynamic opening, because basically we had Legos, and it was basically saying like build the Legos without your hands, and then it was like, oh wait, so you're saying you have to be involved, and like so it could have been really good if we had stopped at that point, if like you have to be involved in the building process.
Was an attended process.
Yeah.
God was heavily involved in the process. It did not happen on its own. Yeah. But the problem is it kept going.
And then I'm
going.
Yeah, I'm standing here and Bree's standing over on this side of the stage, and we're going through what the first 3 days of creation were. And I just look over to the sound cart, and I just see Sister Kim Ramos just like trying to wave to me, but she's hiding behind the.
She's like, basically saying, "Please stop," because we're
teaching her lesson.
All the lessons that are to come in the dynamic opening.
Yeah, and she's standing over there, and she's like, "Stop! I thought she was saying about timing, and I was like, "Oh," and so I just tried speeding through it, and then afterwards, I didn't know anything until that night at like Sunday night church. She came over to me and was like, "Hey, like, I'm so sorry, but you were teaching all of our lessons." And I was like, I honestly had no idea. You know what this is reminiscent of?
Before we had this curriculum to base it off of, we used to write our own-ish. So we'd have a topic, and then we'd divide it up into chunks, and then everybody would be assigned a chunk. So Day of Creation, you'd have used to call it creative intro, and the object lessons and skits and whatever else.
Yeah.
The problem is, without a lesson laid out in front of you, there's a tendency
to overlap.
Big time to overlap or underlap.
Yeah.
Like you don't know what the others are doing, and so we've tried to develop this is in the past, but at the time we tried to develop a document that we would all post our stuff into to make sure that we were not over or undercovered. But it was inefficient at best, and so this lesson ideally is supposed to fix all that, because it's all written.
Yeah.
Problem is, until you actually teach it, you don't catch some of this stuff until you actually teach it. And so we are going to go through and adapt that and change it so poor Sister Kim doesn't have to change her object lesson on the fly to not just re-say verbatim what they just said.
And
she
did do really good with that. Like, I don't think the kids noticed at all, especially because of like she was hiding while trying to tell us to stop. And then when she did come up, she was just really smooth with it and just went into like a different.
So in Chehalis, when I was there, Brother Baker had me do a few different things, but one of them was an action song that they hadn't known before. So I did No Fear, my new favorite action song. If you haven't heard it, No Fear by John Reddick. In fact, we got to record that because I don't think Brother Hodge has yet.
Yeah, because it's only half of it is up because it got cut off.
So anyway, I was at Chehalis, and he said, Brother Phillip's coming up. So as I'm walking up, they start the song. But it's not the song I was supposed to be doing. And so I was like, wait a second. So I mute my mic and I turn around. I'm like, that's the wrong song. And they're like, no, go. I'm like, that's the wrong song. So we're having this weird dialogue. It was just music.
Yeah, like
for me as I walked
music?
Up there. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was not the music for the action song. And it was just a funny deal. That's miscommunication, and that was on me, not on them. And then, so during the Friday morning service, they have a day service, and there is no kids service at the same time. So that's the one service I actually get to go to. Mm-hmm. So I'm there, and Brother Ben Weeks was going to be preaching. So I'm sitting in the back trying to blend into the furniture. You're just like, I'm here to do the kids thing. I want to enjoy church. And, I don't really know very many people. I know some, but I don't know very many people. And so I'm just like in the back thinking I'm getting away with blending into the furniture. All of a sudden, Brother Ken Bo is leading service. He goes, Brother Phillip Booker? I was like, how does he even know I'm here? I'm like, yes. He said, come up here. I'm like, on the platform? Thank God I at least had a tie on. So I feel like such a fish out of water. I go up there and he's just talking about the kids service, and he hands me the mic. Why don't you tell everybody what's going on up there? Well, I'm telling you, as unprepared as you can get, I am so flustered. So I didn't blend in very well.
Oh, wow.
So next time I think I'm just going to sleep under the bench, and maybe that'll work. Yeah, the other thing that was pretty funny is there was a couple of really good altar calls in that kids service, really good. And the second night, I mean, it was really good. We had prayed for probably like 20 minutes, but there was still these kids that were praying and praying and praying. Well, I stepped out to change my shirt or something because I was absolutely dripping wet. I'm in the back, and all of a sudden it went immediately from like a prayer altar music to like a dun 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 dun. I mean, like a wild, crazy, upbeat praise break. And I was like, oh, well, I guess the kids are done praying, and they switch gears. But then I hear pause. The old song starts again, and he goes, sorry.
Oh,
I guess the sound guy hit the wrong button and started playing jam and praise music. It ended altar call immediately. Like poor kids that were still locked in, they lost it. It was pretty funny.
That is really funny.
Yeah, so it was a good time. But hey, they had bloopers too. Of course, some of them were my fault. And now it's time for the victories, the things that went right, the things that you're actually excited took place on a Sunday.
Yes.
And so why don't we have you, do you want me to start or you start? Because 10 to 11 did have a couple victories.
Thank you, yeah. Just start it off because they had quite a few bloopers.
To me, this is a victory. It sounds like a blooper, but it's a victory. So these boys had been complaining that they didn't have enough explosions in class. I already talked about this in the bloopers.
Yeah.
But, so I amped it up. I mean, I had some pretty good booms. Well, I told the kids before I started, I said, you guys asked for explosions? I'm bringing explosions today. They got so excited. I mean, they literally picked up their chairs and scooted right up to my table.
Oh my goodness!
So I told them, I said, "Hey guys, you're going to have to back off." I said, you're at SeaWorld. There's that saying, you might get wet if you're on the front row.
Splash them.
Here, you might explode if you're on the front row. So they scooted away all of like 2 feet, and I could not get them any further without like physically moving them. I'm like, all right. I knew they wouldn't get hurt, but so we light the balloons, and when I say it was a good one, I go, boom! I have never seen 10, 11-year-old boys move so quick. All of a sudden, they had no problem scooting their chairs back. They went from as close as they could get without me getting really upset to like, I'm 2 rows back, like everything, poof, that circle. It was like the explosion blew them backwards. They gave me plenty of room the rest of the time.
Really?
Yeah. Scared the devil out of them. So that's a victory to me because I thought it was so funny. Those 10 to 11 boys are so cool. But I scared the cool out of them for just a little bit.
That's really funny.
Yep. But we had a good time of prayer in there. Didn't mean to disrupt the girls' altar call, but no, it was a good day all around in the boys. How about you guys in Superclass?
Okay, so in Superclass, the victory is actually on the exact same segment as the blooper was. So the puppet show. Obviously, like when you try something new like that, you're kind of worried about, are the kids going to react well? And like with puppet shows, they like them, but we've never done like a shadow puppet show like that. Like it was very different from what we've normally done. And after it finished, it just like got dead silent, and I was like, oh no, because I wasn't really in here. I had one of my bus kids out in the like behind the curtain, so all I heard, I could just hear, and it was dead silent, and I was like, oh no. And then the kids all just started going crazy. Like they were like, yeah, and then there was like,
so they really liked it.
They really liked it.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So that's a win. Hey, you try something new. Sometimes they like it. Sometimes they make you very aware of the fact that they didn't.
Yes, very true.
This time they did.
Yeah.
So in Chehalis, the whole thing was a win. I'm telling you, their conference is just, it's very, very cool. Their kids service is first class. I've already in the intro talked about the Coliseum and all the decor that they built, and they just have such a great team. A lot of people leave that conference the same way they leave Summit, like saying, I want to take this home. I want to bring this home to my church. And so anyway, that's the biggest win, is just the entire team conference, teamwork, everything they got going on. They did such a good job, and I was excited to be a part. And of course, the altar calls. So altar calls were awesome. So that's it for the victories.
Yep.
And now it's something I learned from fishing.
Okay.
Another lesson.
I'm ready.
Y'all are thinking, man, this guy's got to run out of fishing lessons. Well, me and Brother Lee came up with a few, and we still got a few more. So you got to, if you want to skip, I don't blame you. But hey, you can learn some really good stuff about children's ministry from fishing, believe it or not. And this one is going to be short and sweet.
Okay.
Basically, it's no matter how rough the ocean gets, stay in the boat. I mean, that's pretty obvious when you're on a boat, right? When the waves are kicking up and it's dark outside and the waves are crashing, the last place you want to go is overboard.
Yeah.
But why is it in children's ministry when things get rough, when things start rocking, when the kids start acting up, the first place many people think to go is, let me get out of this ship.
Yeah, it's very true.
I've got to get out of here. Maybe they think they can swim to land fast enough. I'm not sure. And, for some people, that may be the best method. But we're going to just discuss a little bit the reason that you should always stay in the boat no matter what. Because the calm will come, of course.
Yeah.
You have great times. You have stuff when things are perfect, but also you're going to have those times when attendance is low, when you have conflict, when you're bummed out, when you just have discouraged, when you're discouraged, and that's the time you got to make up your mind. I'm not jumping ship, no matter how bad I feel, or no matter how low I feel at this particular moment.
That's really good. Yep.
So here's some reasons why you don't jump ship. First of all, is the boat isn't going anywhere. It's not going down. It's not breaking apart. It's not going to be destroyed just because you're going through a rough patch. The boat's going to be fine. In fact, Matthew 16:18 says, upon this rock I will build my church. The gates of hell shall not prevail against it. The old ship of Zion, it's a pretty good boat.
Very true.
So the boat ain't going anywhere. And if you stick in it, you're going to be fine. And you'll be much, much more happy when you come out the other side. The other reason is you're safer together.
That's true.
In the boat, you got your team, you got your fellow teachers, you got all the people that are helping you, and you can pray together, encourage one another, have teamwork, and you can help whenever the water is starting to come over the sides a little bit.
Yeah.
But when you get out of the boat, you're all alone. Well, I guess you could be with the other people that aren't in the boat either, but hey, you know what? Those are the people I want to hang around.
Yeah, but then you're not all together in one place. You're just scattered throughout the ocean.
So, and the next reason that you should stay in the boat is that storms are temporary. They're going to end sometime. This isn't an eternal storm, and my phone is driving me bonkers. I thought I put it on silent, but clearly I did not. But the storm is going to end. This rough patch you're going through is eventually going to stop. And when it does, it seems like every time you go through a rough time in Sunday school, when you come out of it, you're better than you were before.
Yeah, I think
not just as good, better.
I think the biggest thing for that our team knows from that is like COVID. How do you stay?
That was an itty bitty little storm.
Yeah, like how do you stay in Sunday school when there is no Sunday school? But
that's true.
If anything, our team is so much better because of that.
Yep, that is a great illustration of exactly this. Many people stopped having Sunday school because of COVID, and they've never picked it back up. But ours actually somehow became together and became stronger, and we worked better than we ever have because we stayed in the boat.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing of like just how you said before, like sticking together is like all of us became a better team because we were forced together for hours and hours on end practicing and putting stuff together to put out on Apostolic Sunday School. Yep,
and we came out of it better than before. So that's all we got. Stay in the boat when things get rough. Don't jump out and drown.
Yep.
Ain't worth it.
Not at all.
And now it's time for that voice from the outside. This time is from our good friend, Sister Jess Kast from Pueblo, Colorado. And she's so cool.
Yeah, she really is.
She's funny. And she's sharp, she's dedicated, she's passionate, and her husband do such an incredible job with the bus ministry there in Pueblo. They also help teach periodically. But they're going to talk to us a little bit about bus ministry, children's ministry in general, and why kids are so important. Take it away.
My name is Jessica Kast. I am from the church here in Pueblo, Colorado, under Bishop Paul Elder. My husband and I are over the bus ministry here. We call ourselves Crew 238. We run 2 buses, and we pick up kids all over our city and beyond for Sunday school. A little bit about myself would be that I was a bus kid. However, bus ministry looked different than it does now. I was picked up every Sunday and Wednesday by a family in our church, well, the church that I attended at the time. And then as they moved away, my pastor, Brother Gary O'Neill, was in charge of picking me up. and making sure I got to the house of God. And then as I became older, I developed a passion for bus ministry. We have been over the bus ministry now for 20 years. So I know what it's like on Sunday mornings when you're trying to wrangle your kids and wrangle other people's kids and get going and do what God has called you to do. So I commend you for being there this morning and being a part of this awesome thing called Sunday school and bus ministry. And as I was praying, there were two things that kept coming to my mind over and over and over again. The first one was the story that we've all heard, I'm sure, and if you haven't, I'm about to tell it to you, was about one of David's mighty men of valor, and how that when the Philistines were attacking, he was the one that stood up and defended the bean patch. And I'm sure if you've been in Sunday school or bus ministry any length of time, you've heard that saying that those people who don't understand why we do what we do, they'll say their comment about bus ministry and Sunday school and say, well, it's not really that important, or they really don't matter, they're just kids. And to them, it might seem like a field of beans. But for you all this morning, you are standing up and you are defending that field with tenacity and strength and courage and faithfulness. And you are literally looking the enemy eyeball to eyeball and saying, no, this is mine. This is our territory, and you're not coming a step further. So today, remember that it's more than just a field of beans. It's your field. And what you're growing and what you're cultivating in that field is so important. It's so important. It's the most important thing. And that is the children and the future of our churches. And you're doing that every time you come to Sunday school and every time you show up for bus. I know it doesn't feel like it, but you are. You're standing toe to toe with the enemy and you're saying you're not coming any further. This is our field. So I commend you for that. You are warriors. You are God's Delta Force. He drops in and you do the hard work and you get out there every Sunday. So keep after it. There's a blessing in it. The harvest is coming. The other thing that I felt really impressed to tell you all was just that. Galatians 6:9. Be not weary in well doing, for in due season ye shall reap, if ye faint not. I know it gets tiresome. I know that it gets hard, but there is a harvest coming. And I believe with all my heart, the best days of bus ministry and Sunday school are yet ahead. So whether today you are rejoicing over the ones that get the Holy Ghost, or you're breaking up fights, or you're wiping boogery noses, just know that everything you're doing is for the Lord Jesus Christ. And there is, and there will be a harvest. So stand firm, stand together, and do your best, which I know you're doing. You're showing up for those kids and they will never forget it. As a former bus kiddo that rode the bus, I thank you and I honor you all today. And let's go get them. Have a great Sunday, guys.
And now it's time for From the Archives. Some of you that are astute and paying attention may be wondering, hey, where's that object lesson? I actually have one written here, but I'm looking at how much time has already passed and how much time is ahead, because me and Brother Baker did a discussion at the end. And I'm thinking, nobody wants to be here that long. So we're just going to take that object lesson and shove it in next week.
Yeah.
All right, we ain't going to do it here. So instead, I think we should do a From the Archives from Sister Trystan going into Apostolic Sunday School into the most remote corners of that website. Yes. And you have found something.
I did.
What did you find?
I found, it's been a bit, but it's not a song. It's not even an object lesson.
Okay, hold on. It's either a game or a skit?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to say a game.
It's a skit.
Oh, it is a skit.
Yes.
All right. Which one?
This is one. We had a whole Sunday school that was themed around it. It was called The What Ifs of the Bible.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Is this the one where the Bible stories, what if they went a different direction?
Yes, like what if Eve didn't eat the apple in the fruit of the tree of
My word. Was that during COVID?
I think it was. I think it's recorded somewhere. I don't know if it was specifically during
COVID. That was
COVID.
a Bob Lee thought. And Bob Lee comes up with some pretty interesting ideas. And they always turn into something really cool. But this one was the what ifs of the Bible, both good and bad.
Yeah.
Like Eve, what if she hadn't messed up?
Yeah.
How cool would things have been?
Yeah.
And conversely, what if certain people hadn't made mistakes? I can't remember all the different stories of the Bible that we use.
Yes, the ones I really remember was that it was Eve, and then I know there was a couple others like I think it was like What If, I don't remember, but we have a whole thing recorded on Apostolic.
I remember
Church
the
Ministry.
end though. It was a modern What If.
Oh yeah,
And it was Brother Bob Lee was at University at Berkeley.
Yeah.
And my dad was a hippie. And so we did the what ifs. If my dad had never gotten church, if he had never made the decision to live for God, and Bob Lee, what would have happened if he had never made his decision? And we had just a little mini skit at the end where a Larry Booker that never became a preacher and a Bob Lee that never became saved meet up and talk about what would have been or what could have been.
And I think that's great for like it worked for our Sunday school, and it'll probably work for a different Sunday school. Like if they use a personal story that the kids can relate to, that they know of a person, they may not know your backstory, or they may not know their backstory, but just showing them that like this is where I came from, this is where they came from, and showing them that your lives aren't perfect.
You know, there's good what ifs and there's bad what ifs.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll be telling churches your testimony, how a 12-year-old girl got hit by a car on bus ministry. And sometimes at the end of those services, I'll have a parent come up and they'll say, I had something similar happen, but ours didn't turn out that way. You know, we lost our child and this happened. And it's the most horrible outcome you can imagine.
Yeah.
And so now whenever I tell that story, I do try to make the point, because usually I tell it teaching about trusting God in good times, bad times, scary times.
Yeah.
And I now say, would I still be able to teach this lesson on trusting God no matter what if Trystan hadn't made it? If you weren't sitting next to me right now? If everything the doctors said was going to happen actually happened?
Mm-hmm.
And I like to think so. I mean, I've had other stuff happen that isn't great, nothing to that extent, and it's always been, where could I go but to the Lord? God's the only thing I have to hold on to. Mm-hmm. So yes, I would still trust Him. But it's easy to say. Yeah, it's harder to actually have it happen.
Yeah, I think the thing that
so that's a what if.
Yeah.
Whew, I don't like to think about that too much.
I think the main thing that makes that hard to think about is because it happened while I was doing like something that you would still be involved in, and so it's just a whole
bus ministry, children's ministry, if it turned out different.
Yeah.
So that's a what if. That's a what if that could be in that story. Ooh, can you imagine telling that? The what if Trystan didn't make it. That'd be a tough story to even tell, even though it's not true. But man, ooh, that was a good story, a good skit. And maybe try to fit it in. And
you can make it as like just a small little skit, or you can do what we did and make it the whole Sunday.
Yep. Yeah. That was pretty good. And so now we're going to move into myself and Brother Baker, and we're doing the final thought, and we're talking about noise. So now this is the end of the podcast, or the time where we just kind of discuss a general topic on children's ministry. And I'm very happy to have you on this topic, Brother Baker. And I was reading a book, and it was just talking about that your brain can only accept so much stimuli before it just shuts down. There's a limit to how much we can process. And so they've taken that so far as to, dentistry is some of the most painful work that they can do on somebody. And they
just thinking about it.
Oh, it's horrible. I mean, to me, when they're trying to put in the pain reliever, that's more painful than most stuff, right?
Right, yeah.
So
and I love how they say there's going to be a little pinch.
A little sting, and it is searing agony that just engulfs my body. Yeah. Yeah, thank you for that warning.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so obviously it's a terrible experience, and so they were trying to figure out ways to avoid that, and they do all the pain relieving. Well, they found that in extreme cases that they have put headphones on their patients, and they have played music or even white noise or anything to just overwhelm the senses. But they turn it up so loud, louder and louder, not where it'll damage your eardrums, but until it's just completely all-encompassing, where that's all you can focus on is this noise. And then they found out that they can do any form of surgery on you, and your body shuts it out.
Because you're focused on that music or noise.
Yeah, that's the only stimuli your brain can register. And in the process, it's so overwhelmed with what it's hearing that it can't feel the pain of them pulling a tooth or doing a root canal.
Oh, that's crazy.
It's crazy. And so I was thinking about how that applies to our world today and how chaotic
There's so much. Yeah.
So much noise out there. The kids we pick up on our buses, even our kids that are raised in apostolic homes, have so much noise, so much stuff that even 20, 30 years ago, when we were kids, I wish it was only 30 years ago, or like 40 years ago, we didn't experience all that.
Right. Yeah, it's a totally different world now.
Different world. They're bombarded by things at school and tablets and electronics and visual stimuli and all the things that they're experiencing. There's so much noise that I was trying to think, how can you communicate through the fog of noise? How can we
pierce through that?
Pierce through it. But before I use the word pierce, it was almost, how can we overcome the noise? How can we be louder noise? How can we shriek over the noise? And that brings up the topic today is how do we combat a world that is so chaotic, where these kids are, honestly, everything we do in Sunday school, they've probably experienced in a more extreme form in some other media.
An example I thought of when you mentioned that is a lion tamer. And so I don't know if they still do this or what, but I read this a long time ago that, I don't know if you've ever seen the picture of a lion tamer with a chair and a whip, or a stool and a whip. Mm-hmm. And the whole reason for the chair or the stool is that it has the legs, the 3 or 4 legs on it. And the lion is confused and can't focus. It's trying to focus on each point. And that's how they're able to keep them at bay. I'm losing my voice. That's how they're able to keep them at bay. And so the lion can't focus. And so that's how they're able to control them, is with it. And so it's too much. It's overwhelming. And so I thought of that. And then one other thing is I just recently listened to an interview with Kevin O'Leary, and he talked about, he had worked with Steve Jobs, and he talked about signal to noise ratio. And he said that the reason Steve Jobs was so successful, and he talks about Elon Musk as well, is he said that he was able to focus. And he said that he was able to rule out what is noise and what is signal. And so I guess on the flip side of it, as leaders, understanding that, and so then being able to, with the kids, say, how can we get them to recognize signal versus noise?
Yeah. One thing I've admired about my brother, he's also my pastor, is his ability to cut out the noise. Like if you're in a meeting or something and there's a lot going on, there's a lot of stuff that you're just trying to wade your way through, he has the ability to cut through the noise and get to the chase. Like, what is the most important thing we're supposed to be focused on? He's really good at that. And I always admired that.
That must be a pastor thing, because my pastor is the same way.
I think that's an admirable trait in a pastor.
Yeah.
If you don't have that ability, I can see that it would lead to a bit of chaos.
And overwhelm. Yeah.
And being overwhelmed. So I was thinking about, these kids are dealing with all this noise. They're dealing with all the chaos, and they're coming into our churches. They're coming into our Sunday school classes. And you have the choice to do what I've seen a lot of denominational churches and children's ministries out there that just try to match the noise that they're already hearing, just try to overcome it with their own version of noise. Let's try to defeat what the world is doing by being louder, more lights, more disco lights and entertainment.
In churches too. Yep. It's not just you Great see point. Churches where you come in, you feel like you're at a concert or something instead of
smoke and mirrors and disco lights, and this is all an imbalance. You guys know where we're at. We're sitting in a coliseum, for heaven's sake.
And we do have fog machines.
and we're all about making it fun and entertaining and exciting and fun.
Right.
But our budgets will never match Hollywood budgets. Our budgets can't touch Nickelodeon or whoever, Disney or whoever we're competing against. So trying to defeat them on a one-on-one basis, we're always going to lose.
Yes.
Our pockets aren't as deep. Our productions aren't as good. We don't have the resources
that they have. Yeah.
And so rather than trying to out-hype them, we have one thing that they absolutely do not
have.
That's not the ability to overcome the noise or to be louder, but it's to cut through it.
Cut through it, yes, absolutely.
Cut through the noise, to, like you started this conversation with, to pierce through the noise. And that's with the one thing we have that nobody else does, and that's the power of God.
Yeah.
The Spirit of God. That's our trump card. That's everything.
Yes,
like we
absolutely.
talked about last night, and I don't want to switch gears too much on this, but everything that we do until the anointing of God hits it is nothing but another version of noise.
I like that, yeah. Yeah, you talked about the Ark of the Covenant and how it was just an inanimate object. He was out there in his shop building that Ark of the Covenant, and then the anointing hit it, and it became such a powerful object. And you liken that to this Colosseum and all the things we have here that they're nothing.
Neat, they're beautiful.
They're neat, yeah.
They're exciting. Kids will see it. And, I'm sure when they saw the Ark of the Covenant before the anointing hit it, people are like, that's beautiful. Good work. That's really nice.
Great craftsmanship, yeah.
But you can see that craftsmanship in other places. You can go to a museum and see beauty, but nothing is going to affect these kids like when the power of God hits this Colosseum.
Yeah.
When it turns into an altar and these kids start praying in the Holy Ghost and kids receiving the Holy Ghost.
And that's where we as teachers can, we do a review on Sundays, for the kids. We review our script. A few years ago, we changed that review because we always, at our Sunday school, we do themes, and they're pretty strong themes. And the theme usually has a storyline. So it's like, if it's a 16-week theme, it's almost like 16 chapters. Well, we used to review that, keep up with the hero and all of that. And I kind of had to sit back and say, you know what's important, and we narrowed it down to 3 things, is what was the lesson today? What was the Bible story today? And what was the memory verse? And so that's what we review. That's the only things we review, is those 3 things. And I feel like it kind of fits with what we're talking about, is that's what we want to pierce through. That's what we want to leave with the kids. Yeah, we had a good time. We had a battle and got to throw these balls and have a good time and everything. And they're gonna probably remember that, the snack, they're gonna remember that they did those things. But when we really want them to remember the content that makes the difference.
I did an object lesson years ago. And it's a great object lesson. It's on Apostolic Sunday School, but it's the tea bag. Anyway, I'm not going to go into it. But basically, I did the story, and the kids really enjoyed it. They thought, this is a neat object lesson. And I felt so good when a parent came to me that night and said, our kid came home and retaught the object lesson that you did in Sunday school. And I was like, that's wonderful. That's so cool. He went through the entire thing. I said, that's so neat. I'm glad he was listening. But then the parents dropped the bomb on me. Because at the end, when the boy did the whole lesson from start to finish, they said, well, what did you learn from it? He said, I have no idea. I don't know what I learned. He said, but it's really neat, huh? So he went home with the visual. He went home with the noise, and it didn't have anything else. And I realized, what a failure. Here I was all excited at the beginning of the story.
What a kick in the gut, yeah.
And you realize, wow, what have I really accomplished here? Mm-hmm. They've taken the visual and not the lesson. And so sometimes in class, if we're not careful, the fun becomes the focus. The fun becomes the goal rather than a means to get them to the altar.
Yeah.
The means to get their attention focused on what's really important.
Well, I've mentioned this on my podcast, but I remember a few years ago, to my horror, somebody, it might have been you, even might have been here. I don't remember who it was, but somebody asked the kids, if they knew how to be saved or whatever, and what's step 1? And a kid yells out, obey all staff.
That's how you get to heaven. So, Acts 2:38 revised.
Yeah. And so that's our first rule. We have 4 rules that we go review in Sunday school. And that's our first rule. And so I was like, oh no, our rules have elevated to the level of plan of salvation. We have failed.
Oh, that's funny.
So now in welcome, what I've done, in fact, even lately, what I've done is sometimes in our welcome where we're doing the rules, I cover plan of salvation there, and then it's a segment later on too. I don't want that mistake.
No, it's easy to do. We get caught up in the stuff, and it's fun. We say all the time, we have more fun than the kids do a lot of times. But if that's all it's about, if it's about just having fun, then we're just a poor imitation of what the world's already offering.
That's true. Yeah.
And so I want to cut through it, through
and
the
there
noise.
needs to be that difference because, this time of year, there's a lot of VBS happening, and there might be a church down the road that isn't a truth teaching church and maybe doesn't even have a great children's ministry program, but they do an awesome VBS once a year. We want, if a kid goes to that and then they come to our church, we think about this, or I think about this in a service level, like adult service, big church, we call it. I think about that. We want people to walk in and feel the presence of God and all that. But we want kids to walk in, and they most likely will not be able to articulate it, but we want them to feel the difference. We want it to be, there's cool, that church has the Coliseum, but it's more than that. That church has a cool VBS. Oh, and that church has a cool VBS too, but there's something different.
Yeah. We want to be the church that, God forbid, if they walk away 30 years from now, when they're serious, when their life's falling apart, they remember, I got to go back to Jesus' Name Pentecostal Church, because that's where I knew I felt God.
Yes.
For some of these, the only time in their life they knew that this church is different. And it's not because they had a cool Coliseum. Even though that adds to it. I'm not downplaying this. I hope you understand that. It's incredible.
2 weeks ago, we had a girl came to youth night. I'm a youth leader as well. And so she came to youth night. She walked in, and we've been lately having quite a bit of guests at our youth night. And so we hadn't started yet, and I was working on something, for the screen. And she walked in, and I said hi, and she looked familiar, and I was like, man, she looks like she'd been here before, So we were doing youth night. She was involved. There was other guests as well. And we got to the food and fellowship, so she was in line, and I came up to her, and I was like, have you been here before? Because I was like, maybe she'd been at youth night, and I just don't remember. I mean, I usually know. And she's like, I used to come here. She's like, I used to come here on the bus. I said, oh, were you in Sunday school? She's like, yeah, I remember you. And she's like, I was wondering, can we get the bus to pick me up? I was like, wow, that's so cool.
That is so cool. We have a family that is now a core part of our church. In fact, the mom does our breakfast for our bus every Sunday. Actually, she cooks it for all of our Sunday school kids that want to come. But when they first came, they came on, I think it was the Sunday before Easter. Then they came on Easter Sunday. God filled them with the Holy Ghost. There was 3 kids, 2 boys, a girl, and the mom. But the oldest boy told me later, and he used to be part of our Sunday school staff. Now he's more into the music side of the church. But he said, we used to be picked up by a church in town here, and it was outrageously fun. They'd pick us up on our bus. They had foosball tables and pool tables and ping pong tables. And for Sunday morning, they'd feed us. We'd show up there and play games for an hour and a half, just have a ball. And then we'd get on the bus and leave. No teaching, no life-changing experience. It was just entertainment. It was just raw fun. It was just more noise. But it was fun noise. And they enjoyed it. And they went. But he said the first time we came here, we knew something's different. They came one time and they said, we'll never go back to that place again. Because at our church, they realized that there's substance. It was cutting through the noise and on top of it.
Oh, man.
And so a lot of times we think if we can just make it so much fun that these kids remember the fun, they'll come back. And that is how you entice them. And originally, but if that's all you have,
if you just have a Chuck E. Cheese Sunday school.
Yep. It's just giving them candy for a Thanksgiving dinner. Here's just a pile of Skittles, and that's all you get. There's no meat behind it. Then you're just going to be surface level. And last thing I was thinking of is we went to Sight and Sound. Have you heard of Sight and Sound?
Yes. Yeah.
Have you been to one?
I haven't been yet.
It's mind-blowing.
It's
Broadway production level or better, but Christian-based, Bible stories.
Bible stories, yeah.
It's just so over the top incredible, but there is zero God. I mean, they talk about God, and it's about God, and it's about and you leave there every time with this just kind of like, you're sad.
Like the bottom fell out.
Like the bottom fell out. And you think, this was supposed to be an altar call. It could lead so easily into people getting the Holy Ghost. And
yes,
you have these thousands of people there that get so close to an answer, and then they're like, come up front and talk to one of our staff if you want to know more. And that's it. And it's just like they have you in this grip
You're emotionally invested, and
it's so good. It's so good. So it's a lot of, I hate to say it because I love it. But it's just entertainment. It is just entertaining. It's clean entertainment. It's family entertainment. It's enjoyable, and I'll go back in a heartbeat. I mean, I love it, but it is not life-changing. But if you could just put just the power of God in that thing, you'd see, I'm telling you, there'd be hundreds of people get the Holy Ghost every time they do a production.
And the thing is like, we were talking about some of this last night when we were eating on a different topic, but this doesn't mean that you tear down the Colosseum and you don't have a slide. I mean, I know everybody can't have a slide, but it doesn't mean that you don't have decor and that you don't do skits and you're going to sit down and teach 5-year-olds a Bible study.
That's self-defeating in itself.
Yeah, it doesn't mean like to go the other extreme and say, okay, we don't want throwing Chuck E. Cheese under the bus, but we don't want Chuck E. Cheese Sunday school, so we're going to teach them the Word. But the ultimate would be have a sight and sound theater experience with that altar call that you talked about.
Exactly. Yeah, so it's just it's a balance. There is a balance. But without the power of God, we're just any other place. We're just any other form of entertainment. We're just some other way for them to spend a Sunday morning rather than watch their cartoons.
Yeah, we're just another noise.
Another noise. And we gotta do our part to cut through it. So that's all I had on that topic, but man,
that's good.
Well, we gotta have the stamp of God on this thing.
Yes, absolutely.
And once the anointing hits it, the Ark of the Covenant becomes more than a box, more than just a place to hold stuff. It becomes a sacred, anointed, powerful box that can whip the entire land of the Philistines just by being there.
Yeah, and our Sunday school room, the anointing hits it. It becomes more than just this neat game area.
Yep. And we expect to see incredible things happen the next 2 days. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us. This is exciting. To actually see you in person is wonderful. So anyway, God bless y'all. Go check out Kidman Backstage if you haven't already. I'm sure you have. But if you haven't, go check it out. Until then, God bless. We'll see y'all next time.